but people like it, so.
People like it, you say?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
That's what I've been told, at least.
I think that's a good start to this podcast
I think
today.
so too. Very, very positive, very wholesome.
It's upbeat. It should always be that way.
Always.
This is episode 4 of our podcast, which is called
Inherently Human. Thank you for tuning in once again. I can't believe you've made it through 4. I can't believe we've made it through 4. This is going to be quite the adventure.
Yeah, we hope that you have diligently listened to all of the previous shows.
Diligently.
Yeah, because it does require diligence to focus that long. It's about 41 minutes each time. That's quite an investment in this day and age.
No, absolutely. But 41 minutes, that's about 10 to 15 songs, I guess. So if you're listening to the podcast instead of listening to music, you're expanding your mind instead of listening to the same
with
dozen
words
songs
and not just tunes. Although this week I think I discovered an artist named Ani Brun, B-R-U-N.
With the dots over the U, or?
I didn't see the dots. This was on Spotify. She has a very small voice, and she phrases unlike anyone else. Like, she'll do a ballad, and she'll kind of throw away the words in some weird sense. Instead of, oh, my love, my darling, she goes, oh, my love, my darling. You know, and it's kind of eerie and weird. But it works. It was like my heart goes out to this woman. She's vulnerable.
Just land it all.
I had to
The
try
musical
to
episode. Are we gonna?
Well, we don't have to. We can veer right off that. Actually,
right off the singing.
Yeah.
Well, go. What's her name again?
Ani, I guess. A-N-E. Newer last name B-R-U-N.
All right, so I guess go
Ani
check her out
Brun.
on Spotify.
Oh yes. I think you will feel rewarded. She's remarkable, actually.
I feel like we should start getting paid to.
Endorse, I know, the monetary aspect, because we know we're stars. Did you realize, I actually found out this week, because I listened to a podcast about podcasts, there are 550,000 podcasts available in the U.S.
Oh, God.
Oh, but most people are listening to us. So those other people should just shut down.
Oh, yeah.
That's my feeling.
It's our turn. It's our time to shine. We are the new podcast of the age.
Unquestionably.
Two guys in a library study room. Yeah, we've got such a good gimmick going on here. It's remarkable that we haven't already taken off already. Where's my award? Where's my Emmy, my Oscar, my Grammy?
You know, personally, it could just be around the corner. I mean, I learned on this podcast that even if the podcast itself is not particularly successful, and many of them aren't, the fact is that you participated in one can mean that you're more attractive to an employer, because your personality is such that you're outgoing, you're verbal, you're willing to share yourself with other people. It's all positives. I mean, businesses like that kind of thing. So you're on the right track here.
You know, it's funny that you bring up employers and resumes and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I just got back from Bellingham, Washington, where I participated in a NERSA conference.
Don't know what that is.
Yeah, most people wouldn't. I don't blame you. So NERSA, at least to my understanding, is Professional Collegiate Recreation. So what my boss does.
Yeah, Marcos.
Yeah, what he does, you know, that kind of thing. It's the organization. It's national, and parts of Canada are part of it, and you know, it's just a good way to network, and it's a good way for rec centers all around the country and up in Canada to get ideas from each other and try to improve how things work, to engage students and employees, assessments, and how the pool works, and different ways to increase the enjoyment of rec centers and just really give to the community. And so I was at that, trying to network, trying to get myself a career just in case this podcast doesn't take off.
In the unlikely event that this
Yeah.
failed you.
Yeah, the very unlikely. So, it's the backup plan.
Sure,
Here's
I
plan
understand
one.
that perfectly. Was it unique to aquatics, this
No.
conference? No.
No, unfortunately. So it's all of collegiate recreation. So it
Nice.
includes intramurals and sports clubs, competitive sports, aquatics, marketing, member services, all these kinds of things. In fact, aquatics was actually the least represented.
Really?
Yeah, it was tragic. But I'm told, at least, and this is very encouraging to me, that aquatics professionals are actually being wanted more and more. Just because it's not
nice.
a career path that a lot of people take.
Right, exactly. And when you told me that you were on that path, I was wondering why. So maybe this brings up that whole idea of your view of your future. And I guess you felt that this conference in Bellingham was a step in the right direction because you perhaps bonded with other like-minded people, did you?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, so
But why aquatics? Is it simply that you love the environment surrounding a swimming pool, a big pool at a campus, for example? What is it? What is it about you that
What-
makes you want to get into that business?
what makes aquatics so appealing?
Yeah.
Oof, that's a hard one. I think, when we go back to nature versus nurture, all of this, it's wild.
Right. You
so
gotta unpack it right here and now in front of everyone.
in front of everyone, this is recorded. This is me.
This is a document.
This is how it be.
man.
So I guess when I was young, I think I was about 3 when I moved into the house that I lived in until
You moved
until
to
I moved to
Hawthorne
Portland.
apartment. Yeah.
The house that my parents still live in today. It had a pool in the backyard. And so something that my parents were very adamant about doing was putting me and my siblings through swim lessons. And so we learned to swim from a very young age.
Yeah.
At a point where we'd have pool parties and then me and my siblings would just be around, swimming around, and all of our friends would still be in like life jackets and all these flotation devices.
Yeah.
I think it was my parents bragging about how awesome us children were. Great job, Mom and Dad.
And you had mobility. You had mobility in the water. That must have seemed very freeing, especially when you're watching other people that just couldn't handle it.
Yeah, exactly. It was very interesting to watch my friends who still couldn't swim very well, and I'm just, doing laps, doing everything I need to do.
Going underwater at will,
exactly.
not afraid of anything.
Opening my eyes, thinking I'm the coolest shit around. It was wild. And so I think that really started my love for water.
Mm-hmm.
And so that continued, and we always had the pool, so we always swam all the time. I loved going to rivers and everything, and lakes if we had time. And eventually, when my sister convinced me, have I told the story of how I became a lifeguard?
No.
So, funny story. My sister was on swim team for our high school, and she was a very good swimmer. And she got a flyer one day for a lifeguard course, and she was like, "Aiden, we should take this lifeguard course." And I was like, I don't know. I don't think I would be super into lifeguarding, or I don't think I'd be good enough.
Really?
Because, yeah.
Okay.
So she was a sophomore at the time.
How old were you?
I was a freshman.
All right.
Freshman in high school. And I tried out for swim team. I tried. And I got cut. I got cut from swim team. And then I want to say 6-8 months later, I think, I became a lifeguard. Just to really shove it in their faces that they got it wrong.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
But my sister was like, we should become lifeguards. We could totally do it, Aiden. I don't want to do it alone. And so I was like, I don't know if I'd be totally into it, or I don't know if I'd be good at it. And that's when she told me, well, that sucks because I already signed you up. So I never had a choice. And so the lifeguard life was thrusted upon me by my sister. And then it was just downhill from there. And it was my first real paying job being a lifeguard. So I was there all the time. I was working all the time. I felt awesome. I thought I was the coolest shit.
Now, why? You started out not liking the idea, I guess, because you didn't think you could do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then somehow there was some element of the experience that wasn't just neutral, but made you feel better about yourself in some way. I mean, was it that other people, by definition, were dependent on you because you had the power to save their lives? Was it that obvious, or was there something else about it?
So it's interesting how you bring that up. So I have felt like throughout my life, I have been someone who focuses more on the safety and enjoyment, pleasure of others before myself.
Oh, okay.
And so becoming a lifeguard, becoming CPR, AED, first aid,
all of which are required.
All required, professional level.
Yeah.
To ensure the enjoyment of an area and the safety of other people was something that really resonated with me without me ever noticing. And so it gave me purpose, almost.
Yes, gotcha. I like that.
Yeah, it feels really good. There's a Japanese philosophy, I believe, and I'm totally gonna butcher this because I'm getting this off the top of my head, but there's 3 things that you focus on when you do anything. Whether it's a hobby or a job or anything like that. There's the passion of it, there's the need for it, and then there's your ability. And I could be totally wrong in this, but I'm going to say...
That part makes sense. It really does.
And so, your purpose... So this is a way that they define the meaning of life, almost.
It's need, passion, and ability. Those are the 3 essential elements to choosing...
A purpose for yourself.
Ah, okay.
So, what are you good at? Does it satisfy a need?
Yeah.
And do you like it? Do you have a passion for it? And if all of those 3 things intersect, that's your purpose.
And you found that to be true for yourself.
I absolutely did. I feel I have a great passion for lifeguarding, or else I wouldn't have the massive tattoo on my calf.
I guess I'm... not up to speed on your tattoo. What is it?
I'm surprised you haven't seen it.
I don't know.
Not looking at my legs a whole lot. So on the back of my right calf, I have a giant lifeguard tube. You know what?
Oh, no. I thought you were going to say an orca or something like that. No. Oh, my God. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think you necessarily know what is it called? A lifeguard tube?
A lifeguard tube. So the
it's
big
a flotation. It's a flotation device that at least at Portland State Rec, the lifeguards carry with them. It seems to be made out of foam. It's colored red,
usually,
and it has loops of rope extending from both ends of this long foam thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I've got that tattooed on my calf.
Wow, man, that's commitment.
And then additionally,
yes, I've never seen it either. Yeah, I see you in your shorts all the time. I don't know.
Too much eye contact, I guess. Eyes up here.
Hey, eyes up here.
So for the summer trip that I was going to take, that I had talked about previously, and we've had a lot of
this last summer, 2018, It was aborted because of the forest fires.
Yep.
Everything that you wanted to do and were hired for was canceled.
Yep. I bought a personalized rescue tube.
That says your name on it?
Has my name on it.
Manufactured especially for Aiden DeBoard. Right?
Exactly. It's hanging up on my wall right now. It's got my name on it. It's a really good material. The ropes are perfect, and on each end I have brass rings instead of plastic, and then I've got a hook on it so I can hook it up to things. And I never got to use it.
And it's called a rescue tube?
A rescue tube is what we call it.
You know, I think every profession has its fetishes, kind of. Forgive me for using the word, but I'm really talking about myself. Well, I mean, there are other ways to define fetish. Thank you very much. But I'm that way about microphones.
Okay, yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
For example, I know that this is an Electro Voice microphone, and I know that it's a good one, and I know that they're commonly used, this model, at TV news operations for the reporter out in the field, and Electro Voice makes radio station mics. In fact, one of my early jobs, I used one. So it's kind of something you fall in love with.
Yeah.
If you have a passion for your job, I think it's just human nature. You find elements, you find objects that to you represent emotionally what you do and what you love.
The symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, obviously you have a passion for this.
Sure.
So in your career that you've, since retired from, do you feel like those three things?
Yeah, I do. So, I mean, I could define my life that way. Even when I was a disc jockey. I mean, I started when I was 17 at a little radio station in Hillsboro, and I wasn't very good at all. But what I told myself, and I remember the first day I was ever on the air, and I came home and I went down in the basement where we had our TV room, and I lay on the sofa, and I felt this overwhelming pleasure like I don't think I've ever had since and never had before.
Yeah.
This utter joy of having accomplished what I wanted. But I told myself that I was bringing the world over the microphone to the people, that they themselves loved me.
Yeah.
And I was, after a while, pretty good at it. And so it was self-validating. I mean, I didn't necessarily need anyone to tell me.
Right.
Because I'd tell myself, oh yeah, you're good, pal.
Oh, hell yeah. Looking in the mirror like,
you
look
rock.
at that man.
We didn't say, wouldn't put it that way, but yeah. So.
It's wild to think that there are things like this out for everybody.
Really, it's true. It's absolutely the case. I really think so.
No matter what you do, what it is, there's something out there for each and every person that fulfills a need, you have the ability for it, and you're passionate about it. And those three things can come together. It might take a few or 12 years to figure it out, but I mean, you just kind of got to keep looking, and you'll eventually get that feeling that Jim's talking about, where it's like, this really clicks with me. This really feels right.
And what is coming up for me right now is the value of lifeguards. Because I had a really dramatic experience at a friend's wedding in Hawaii. The day after the wedding, we all went to the beach, and I had flippers on and a mask, and it made me feel invulnerable. I just felt that there was no way, because the flippers could get me anywhere I wanted to go, that I had to worry about the depth of the water. So I just started swimming perpendicularly west from the beach and got out into deep water, and I was disappointed because there were no fish. So I decided to go to the jetty, which was directly to my left, and I started swimming in that direction. But what was weird is I didn't move at all. And so I swam a little hard. Well, you know this kind of story. You know what's happening to me.
Oh, yeah.
I am in a current. I don't realize it at all. I'm slowly becoming horribly exhausted. I rip off my mask. I had a snorkel too. Well, I couldn't breathe through a tube anymore.
Yeah, no.
I needed all the air I could get. And it was as though my flippers were making my legs work too hard.
Yep.
And I saw the end coming up for me.
Oh, fuck.
Because it was very clear that I was losing energy, that I couldn't take in enough oxygen in order to feed my system.
Right.
And I was going down. And at that exact moment, I heard a voice say, "Are you okay, Jim?" And it turned out to be the bridegroom, who hadn't been part of our party. He had stopped about a mile up the beach, I don't know, 30 minutes previously or maybe more. I hadn't seen him or thought about him. Somehow he saw me out there. He saw me take off my mask. He swam out. It took all my guts to admit that I was in trouble. So I wanted to say, no, I'm fine.
No, I got it.
But I don't know what happened exactly right after that, but I found myself at the jetty. Mm-hmm. He must have aided me in some way. And I really think that I would have died, and it wasn't a couple of days later, walking on the beach slightly north of there, that there was a little memorial, including a photograph of a guy who died just a few days before. And he was young and fit.
Yeah.
And so Colby saved me that day, I have no doubt. And a scuba diver friend of mine that I know was describing to me my own feeling at that moment, that certainty that I was going to die. And he called it doom thinking. And he says it's very familiar to people who are scuba divers, that you want to avoid that feeling because it's almost self-predictive.
Yeah.
That when you anticipate that you're going to die, you don't really have a way to help yourself anymore because you really believe that's the future.
It's it. That's how it's going to end. So,
so you as an expert, I just wonder, you are in a position for sometimes actually changing the narrative and saving people in that kind of case.
So in the CPR first aid classes that I teach, we go over a lot of heart attack stuff. And in the American Red Cross videos and all the books and everything, one of the symptoms of a heart attack is impending sense of doom.
Whoa.
So it's interesting because that's just you giving up, essentially.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm going to die, that's all there is. And realistically, without any external help, you would. And so it's the way that the human mind knows that it's going to die is terrifying.
Say more.
I mean, it's hard to talk about just because I've never been in this situation. I may have assisted in stopping a situation like this, but I don't think I could ever really say enough about it. But to think that your body knows exactly what will happen to itself is, I don't know, it's very scary to think that we just can die at any moment and we'll know.
Well, I can fill in the blanks a little bit.
Yeah, please and thank you.
You talk about, because
I'm floundering here.
I remember that I was really, really angry with myself.
Right.
Because 10 months earlier I'd had back surgery. Mm-hmm. And so what I was saying to myself, I mean, I actually had a narrative going on in my head, and I said, so you were out of the hospital less than a year ago and you swam out here with no one around, nobody swimming for you. You're now at least in 20 feet of water, and you're surprised that you're exhausted. I didn't know at that time. It turned out that there had been the sudden appearance of a slipstream or something like that.
Undercurrent.
That caught everyone and was washing everyone out. They had the rescue sea-doos out towing people back and all that kind of stuff. So it really happened. I didn't know anything about that, but I thought it was all because I was just out of the hospital and now I had shown little total concern for my own well-being, and I was going to pay the ultimate price. And I really believe I would have had Colby not miraculously
been there for you.
Yeah, shown up. It was amazing.
So I guess at the end of it all, what would you say the lesson is for this? What did you learn?
Well,
there's always a lesson at the end of a traumatic experience, so tells all media.
I don't know. I mean, I guess prudence, well, I'll tell you that I will, despite the seductions of the tropical fish and the warm water off the coast of Hawaii, I would have to make sure that I was effectively in the shallows and could stand up. I wouldn't joyously splash my way out into deep water thinking I could get back. Right. I mean, I'd be a lot more prudent, a lot more aware of my environment. But other than that, I'm not sure I really have a takeaway. You know, it's unfortunate that in many cases, such as having a heart attack or something, it's almost like it's something you don't think of in the moment where you could be causing yourself a heart attack unless you actually get one. And I've exerted myself on the trail or carrying gear. I think I've hurt my body that way when I was working in production and carrying equipment, you know, tripods and batteries and all the heavy stuff that has to come along. I just trusted my body was a mule and would work its way through it. So I didn't get a heart attack, and therefore I didn't learn the lesson that you could have one, even though I know objectively it's possible.
I think the best thing to take away from this story, this experience, and this goes out for everybody, and this is the born and raised lifeguard in me.
Yeah.
I mean, really focus on your safety. Take water safety classes. Learn to swim well. Be prepared for it. I mean, I can't encourage safety enough. I talked to my dad about it, and he says safety is my top 3, or safety's in my top 3. And
and he does that because of his work with electricity?
I mean, that's just what he does.
Okay.
Which might have something to do with why I focus so much on it. Another one of those nature versus nurture things, that they instilled a great amount of safety in me. And then, of course, my immense amount of training with lifeguarding and CPR and first aid really just reinforces that. So, I mean, if you have an opportunity to take a CPR, first aid, AED class, or any kind of safety class, I highly, highly encourage you to do it. The skills are invaluable. They truly are. I very highly believe in the safety of other people. My whole career path is focused on the teaching of that. Teaching of swim lessons so people can be safe in water, teaching of CPR, first aid, because I want people to be reliant on others, you know? I want people to be able to go out and be able to save someone, or at least help in any way should the fit hit the shan, you know? It's something that happens far more often than we realize.
Well, like Colby, look, it turned into just a mundane anecdote.
Yeah.
Which we joked about at dinner that night. But I know that absent Colby swimming up to me and knowing what to do, and, you know, he's a coach and physical trainer and all that kind of stuff, so he probably had the chops to save me in the right way, I imagine. But absent him, it would have been, a third-page local story in Honolulu.
And then
another
an entry in the obituary.
Yep.
Oh my God.
So it's eerie in that way.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine going through something like that. And realistically, in my young life, I probably have, and I just don't realize it.
I don't know. Well, That's another point. I don't
Yeah.
think we introduced ourselves. We should.
We're
We're now
need
about-
to 30 minutes in.
Yeah, we're 30 minutes in, and your name is Aiden DeBoard, right?
Correct,
And
that's
I'm
me.
Jim Newman. And one of the interesting, perhaps compelling hooks that you could consider when you listen to this podcast.
This is our shtick.
This is our shtick. He's 20 and I'm 72, and so we're talking over this generational barrier to try to somehow find common ground
Yeah.
between the generations. That's all we care about. Just reaching out and touching people. I'm sorry. Now I'm going too far.
Respect your elders.
Yeah, always remember. Was that the takeaway? I'm not sure that was the takeaway.
Almost died. Let's make sure we're nice to old people.
Yeah, it could have happened, but I know what you mean about seeing in your career some real solid personal value, something that you bring to it that you know is essential to the world, as you say. Rescuing people in need of rescue is one, or teaching people how to avoid risks themselves, that's another. You know? And in my career, I ended up not being in radio and not being a disc jockey, but I wrote scripts for a TV show about the out-of-doors and about the environment. And I, through the medium, through the use of the camera and sound and everything, could take people to places they had never been. And in a way, I thought to myself that my value here is that I can bring something magical to someone in their living room.
Yeah.
You know?
The need for just this out of the ordinary exposure to the world. And I think
Yeah.
that's very important for a lot of different reasons. If no one knows the value of nature, what was the show called again?
Oregon Field Guide. It's still on the air on Oregon Public Broadcasting.
Just understanding the value of the world around you is drastically important. I think there are so many great things about Oregon and just like all of our nature and all of our landscape that people need to know about it before it's gone. For example, the wildfires, you know? I was about to go out and I was going to enjoy it all, and then all of a sudden it was all taken away from me.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate things like that can show me, even if I can't go out and physically do it myself, that there is beauty out there. There's a need for me to see that. I want to see that. I need that. I need it. I need that.
Somehow your
that aesthetic.
soul can ingest the landscape in a
Yeah.
way. Just the vastness of formations that are the result of eroded volcanic ash, which
Yeah.
sculpts the landscape into the weirdest formations. It looks like, I imagine, and may well be, that Mars looks like that. And there are places in Oregon that are positively eerie, and you can just hear the wind coming at you, and for miles and miles, these strange red formations that you can walk through and get lost in.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it gives you a purity of thought, or it does something to your mind, which is kind of essential, really, I think, to mental balance. If you can get there, if you can go out there
Right.
and see this stuff. And the next best thing, at least, is knowing that such landscapes exist.
Yeah. Even if you can't make it out to these beautiful, beautiful areas and experience it for yourself, at least kind of knowing about it and maybe thinking someday,
Yeah.
that's what I can strive for. It gives someone a goal. It gives someone a purpose to go out and then experience this.
Right.
And so, you had a very clear passion for this. You sacrificed your own body. So this
That's
could,
what I did. I sacrificed my...
Way to
Maybe I
be
did.
our martyr. And so you had a very clear passion for it. your ability to do so was incredible. You had the opportunity, you had the strength to do it, you had the will, and you had the technological know-how.
And the technology is, getting better and better.
Right.
I mean, you can take more and more of those landscapes back with you because the resolution of the image is so much better.
Mm-hmm. And then we identified a need. And so all three of those things in your life came together so perfectly to, have a purpose. Yeah. And so it gives life a little bit more meaning.
Where did you find all this out? No, this is all from you now. You said it was a Japanese philosophy?
I believe it's a Japanese philosophy.
Say it again. Outline that philosophy one more time, please.
And so there's probably people who are listening who are like, no, that's not what it is.
Okay, but still, whatever the origin, and it is your version, so that's what's important here.
I guess
what is it?
My version is there's passion, there's need, and there's ability. And if you can fulfill all three of those, criteria in a job or a hobby or something, that's your purpose.
Right.
That's what you were meant to do. Because you love it, so you're willing to do it. You have the ability to do it, so, it can be done.
Yeah.
And there are others in need, or even yourself, in need of this task. And so a lot of people believe, and myself included, as you could tell before, is that to live is to live for other people.
Interesting. That's a nice philosophy, yeah.
And so you can't be so self-centered to a point where you're the only person who matters, right? I mean, nobody likes a person like that. And so focusing your energy on helping others and making sure that their life is as satisfactory as it can be, or the best that it can be, is fulfilling. And I know for a fact that when I'm done with swim lessons, and I know for a fact that that kid is gonna swim, and they now have a new skill that they can go off and they can enjoy and they can be in these areas while safe and fun, and it's just, it really brings a lot of light to my heart to know that I help this person with this thing.
Brings a lot of light to your heart.
Yeah, that's sappy, and I know.
No, man, I think that's cool. I mean, you can say it just brings me a lot of personal satisfaction. You could say that. It means the same thing, but
yeah, fair.
He said brings a lot of light to my heart. God bless you, man. That's cool. Yeah. I like that.
I'm a poet, and I didn't even realize it.
Nice save, I gotta
Thank
say.
You. But yeah, so just kind of bringing those three criteria together, really striving for that, gives you kind of a goal. And I hope that the people listening to this, all y'all out there, really take this message to heart, knowing that if you haven't found it yet, it's out there. It truly is. There's something that's out there that needs your ability, and it's something that you love. And it may take a bit. You may not get it until you're, Jim's age, but it's out there, and it feels so good once you find it.
And all of this discussion started with me asking you about how you got into swimming. So we've sort of come full circle now. Ideally, after you graduate, will do what? You will find some sort of aquatic position. I don't know if that means multiple pools under one roof somehow, or what is available for a guy like you with that kind of a mission in hand.
So, that's kind of hard because there's a lot of fluctuation. There's a lot of chance that goes into this. With Marcos, my boss right now, and Craig, my boss before him, both of them were in NERSA, the organization that I'm in, the conference that I went to in Bellingham. And they both got graduate assistantships, so they got their master's done as they were professionally working for an aquatics facility for a college. And then ideally I go down that same route, And then it's from there, either I find a public pool run by a parks district perhaps, or I find a college campus that has an aquatics program and I run that, whether or not that's a dozen pools or one pool like I'm at right now, whether that includes a safety and risk management program where people are teaching others, and there's a swim lesson program, there's a first aid program, and all these other kind of things. I mean, it truly, there's no way to tell what will happen.
No, not now.
Not now. And there's so many different environments and so many different facilities that have immensely different ways of doing things. And so I'm just kind of going down this path, trying to network myself out there to eventually come across something. Ultimately, my goal is to try and help the most amount of people while still fulfilling this need, this purpose.
Yeah.
Where I'm providing a service for swimmers and families and kids where they can take swim lessons and people can take first aid classes and CPR, where I'm spreading the knowledge that I've gained throughout all these years while still, being in this aquatic environment.
Which you enjoy yourself.
Exactly. This wet area.
Well.
Wet and humid.
That's true. Yeah. So energy and mission, I guess, are the tools that you need right now to find your niche, whatever it is. I guess.
I need a lot of luck too. That's certainly a part of it. And when I went up to the NERSA conference, I was talking to someone from UNLV, University of Las Vegas, I believe.
That'd be a cool place.
Yeah, and they said...
meet Celine Dion, I guess. That'd be really good. Anyway.
Yeah, maybe I'll save Celine Dion from a pool accident. Yeah.
Possible.
Tell her not to run on the pool deck. Ooh, wow, that would be interesting. Maybe I could tell Britney the same thing.
Sure.
Britney Spears. But yeah, so we'll see. The future holds so much for me, and hell, maybe I don't even do that and this podcast really does take off, and I say that by episode 4, and then we don't make it past 10.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Maybe get a hip job in radio in New York City. Whatever else is true, you'll notice.
42 minutes.
Yeah.
Ouch. All right. Well, I think I've said my take then.
Are you satisfied? You got it all in?
I think I've got whatever I need to say out about lifeguarding, and I guess one last plug before we go. Take a CPR class, get some first aid training, take a swim lesson, really learn how to swim, keep yourself safe, wear a bike helmet. I say that hypocritically, I don't wear one. And that's for a whole mess of reasons. But stay safe and encourage safety among others, I guess.
And there you have it.
And there we have it. It was a pleasure, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Yeah, of Inherently Human. Thanks for listening.